Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. So today we're looking at the brand new pack that's coming out of Duel Links. It's Main Box 32 Infinite Ray. Today we'll be covering the ultra rares. The first card is the pack cover. It's number C39 Utopia Ray. It's a light attribute warrior type Xyz monster. It's a rank 4 with 2500 attack and 2000 defense. It requires 3 level 4 light attribute monsters. You can also Xyz summon this card by using a number 39 Utopia you control as the Xyz material. Xyz materials attached to that monster also become Xyz materials on this card. You can detach one Xyz material from this card. It gains 500 attack and one monster your opponent controls loses 1000 attack until the end phase. You must have 1000 life points or less to activate and to resolve this effect. This card is a bit of a game changer for how Duel Links likes to run. There are times where you do end up on low lives, and potentially if you've got certain cards, for example Goblinberg, you've got Masked Chameleon, just to name a couple of examples, who are then able to go grave robbing or to special summon something else from the hand, which can let you go into a rank 4. Utopia is very generic, it just needs 2 level 4 monsters to summon, so you're easily then able to overlay that to bring number C39 out. It's brilliant as you're then able to use this effect multiple times. It doesn't give you a once per turn effect, it's as many materials as you have. So potentially if you're facing something like a Blue Eyes deck, I know at the moment Blue Eyes decks are really annoying me. They've recently had the new support out and I keep getting wrecked by them. Obviously anything that receives a lot of attention, a lot of instant support means you're likely to kind of have to face it. So what this can do can completely wipe out your opponent's Blue Eyes White Dragon, and that will make this card a 4000 attack monster, and then go straight into it, provided your opponent doesn't have any back row, means that you're instantly able to OTK them, just this attack. Constellar Ptolemy M7 is a light attribute machine type Xyz monster, ranked 6 with 2700 attack and 2000 defense, and it requires 2 level 6 monsters. You can also Xyz summon this card by using a Constellar Xyz monster you control as the Xyz material. Other than Constellar Ptolemy M7, Xyz materials attached to that monster also become Xyz materials on this card. If summoned this way, the following effect cannot be activated this turn. Once per turn, you can attach one Xyz material from this card, then target one monster on the field, or in either player's graveyard, return that target to the hand. I can't tell you the amount of times this card has really annoyed me. Often the opponent is just playing with you, they will just remove any specific threat and just completely railroad you. I love the design of it, but obviously this is a compulsory evacuation device on legs. It has a very decent attack stat for a rank 6, and that effect of returning cards means that potentially if you don't have anything to defend you, that could be game ending right there, and traditionally a lot of players will end the game at that point. The other thing is I've seen a lot of players who then overlay this card afterwards to go into something like the Gaia Charger, and that does piercing damage, so even if you're playing a defensive deck, often you end up either running against this or Gaia Charger, which is an absolute nightmare. Hieratic Sun Dragon Overlord of Heliopolis is a light attribute dragon type Xyz monster. It's a rank 8 with 3000 attack and 2400 defense, and it requires 2 level 8 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach one Xyz material from this card, tribute any number of monsters from your hand and or your side of the field, minimum 1, then destroy an equal number of cards on the field. Again, this is not a card I really see used by Hieratics. I see this mostly being played by Blue Eyes White Dragon players, and adding to the power that they already have is not a good thing. Alongside with things like number 46 being added, just make Blue Eyes White Dragon just too powerful a deck, in my opinion. Basically what this does is you can just rip your hand just to get rid of any threats your opponent has. Think of your opponent. You know, if they've got only a couple of cards and they're hoping to defend themselves, if they're cards that can't trigger as a response to these effects, if they're battle-based traps, such as Drowning Mirror Force, Security Orb, there's Dimensional Prison, and various other examples. That means they can not only clear your board, but they are safe in the knowledge that unless you're running something like Spear Karibo or something that's a hand trap that can protect you, you're instantly going to get beaten within that turn. Dark Tellarknight Batlamius is a Dark Attribute Warrior type Xyz monster. It's a rank 4 with 2600 attack and 550 defense. It requires 2 level 4 Tellarknight monsters to summon. All face-up monsters on the field become dark. You can detach 1 Xyz material from this card and discard 1 card. Special summon from your extra deck 1 light attribute Tellarknight Xyz monster by using this face-up card you control as the Xyz material. Also, you cannot Xyz summon other monsters for the rest of this turn. This is treated as an Xyz summon. Xyz materials attached to this card also become Xyz materials on the summoned monster. This effect can be activated during either player's turn if you have 7 or more Tellarknight monsters with different names in your graveyard. So potentially what you can do is you'll just use this as for an overlay. That means that you're going into one of the Tellarknight Xyz monsters that require 3 level 4s, which can be a little bit more tricky to summon. If you're running the standard build Tellarknight engine, it's not that big of an issue, trust me. They all summon each other. One special summons from the hand, one summons another from the graveyard, one summons from the deck. You combine those with certain cards like Shining Angel, and then that's it. Hey presto, you can get 3 level 4s easily. But this gives it a nice additional option anyway, just to be able to go into this and then go into something bigger. Potentially, it also means that if this, if you're not wasting everything, if you just decide to go into this, and say you had 3 level 4s already on your field, and you were concerned about your opponent's back row, they're going to target this, they're going to get rid of it, but then you have at least something in the back to protect yourself. Star Seraph Scepter is a light attribute fairy type level 4 with 1800 attack and 400 defense. Its effect is when this card is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 Star Seraph monster from your deck to your hand, except itself. An Xyz monster that was summoned using 3 or more monsters, including this card on the field, as materials gains this effect. When it is Xyz summoned, you can target 1 other card on the field, destroy it, and if you do, you can draw 1 card. This is a card that was used by Duel in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zeal. He's one of the Barian Emperors, and was a loyal follower of Nash, who was the Barian leader. This effect is actually quite decent because many of the Star Seraph monsters are able to search each other and then special summon, so I'm not going to be surprised if we start seeing some of the Barian Emperor Xyz monsters not too far in the future. The ability to get rid of any other card on the field, whether your own to trigger its effect, or to disrupt your opponent by getting rid of their cards, and then that's not the only thing, you're able to then draw a card on top, is a decent bonus, and definitely as the Star Seraphs get released and the more light attribute support is provided, which is more generic, the more likely these are to see some kind of play. Okay, so this card, Kage Kage, is a dark attribute reptile type level 4 with 1100 attack and 1500 defense. It cannot be normal summoned or set, and it must be special summoned by its own effect. When you normal summon a level 4 monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and it cannot be used as synchro material. This was one of the cards that I feared was going to be introduced quite soon and is a nightmare to deal with. Not simply because, stat lineup, it's not good, it's really just used for Xyz summoning and as for Xyz material. Its effect means that you're guaranteed to get an Xyz monster such as Utopia out, and potentially if you already had a level 4 monster out, you can summon those that require 3 Xyz materials. I definitely think out of the cards that they've released, this is one that may see banning at some point soon. And speaking of nightmare cards, you have the one, the only, Rescue Rabbit. It's an Earth attribute beast type level 4 with 300 attack and 100 defense. It cannot be special summoned from the deck. You can banish this card. You control special summon 2 level 4 or lower normal monsters with the same name from your deck, but destroy them. During the end phase, you can only use this effect of Rescue Rabbit once per turn. This was one of the key cards used in Dino Rabbits. So you've got two seized monsters that are dinosaur type, and both of them had effects which one could negate a summon and the other could negate spell or trap effects. This basically made it like a one turn, and it would also pair with cards such as Sabersaurus, which is at the time one of the strongest normal monsters, which happened to be a dinosaur type as well. Because they required dinosaurs to be summoned, that's why this became a generic and degenerate strategy, and at some point had Rescue Rabbit banned, alongside cards such as Rescue Cat. The only benefit is this card cannot be summoned from the deck, but doesn't mean it can't be searched from there. I'm sure there are search cards out of there that you can find, and definitely it is going to get banned at some point. I remember when this was brought out, it was an absolute nightmare. People feared it, and I'm not surprised people wanted it banned, and I'm sure it will get the same treatment as it is in Duel Links. Chaos Dragon 11-Ear is a Dark Attribute Dragon type level 8 with 3000 attack and 0 defense. It cannot be normal summoned or set, and it must be special summoned from your hand by banishing 3 light attribute and or dark monsters from your graveyard. When summoned this way, you can activate this effect. Apply the following effect based on the attributes of the monsters banished for the special summon. Also, this card cannot attack for the rest of this turn. Only light, special summon 1 monster from your graveyard in defense position. Only dark, shuffle 1 random card from your opponent's hand into the deck. Both light and dark, destroy up to 2 cards on the field. You can only use this effect of Chaos Dragon 11-Ear once per turn. This is part of that whole Chaos strategy. I mean, you've got cards such as Chaos Sorcerer, you get Chaos End Dragon, you've got Envoy of the End, you've got Black Luster Dragon, Envoy of the Beginning as well. You've got various other iterations with these types of effects. It's a nuisance to deal with. And you've even got the Sky Scourge monsters as well. I think those were introduced in Duel Links quite a while ago. So the Chaos type of decks are getting so much stronger. You've got Light Swans and Twilight Swans in there as well that you can actually abuse with this card. It's a nightmare to counter, and often people will play this. I can see this being banned soon. It's just very powerful. The light effect isn't that big of a deal because just recovering a monster from the graveyard, okay, it goes into defense mode. Unless you're planning to Exceed Summoner with it or Synchro with it, it's not too concerning for the immediate effect. The only dark effect to shuffle a random card means that potentially if you're the opponent who's having their card gotten rid of, you could lose one of your better cards and not being able to recover it. And the absolute nightmare of the effect to have 2 of your cards being destroyed means often you're not in a position that you can recover yourself unless you're one of those people who has effects which trigger off of card destruction or have some kind of protection in place. And the final one, the ultra rares, is Hieratic Seal of Convocation. It's a normal spell card with the effect add 1 hieratic monster from your deck to your hand. So this just helps to search for any of your hieratic monsters, and it's just a rotor for the deck. It's incredibly consistent, and it makes the deck that much more powerful. I like the design of the hieratic monsters and the spell and trap support, but I think that's another one of those decks that's going to get splashed in with Blue Eyes White Dragon, and it's just going to make dragon decks far too powerful. Something is going to get banned very soon within the next list. And I'm not saying this just from my point of view. I can see players' frustrations on having to play against these types of decks as well. Whatever you think, leave your comments down below, like the video, and don't forget to subscribe.